Well, good morning, everyone. It is Tuesday the 22nd, I believe it is. Monday the 22nd of June. I am in Dayton, Ohio, near Dayton, at the National Air Force Museum, here associated with or on the fringes of Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Took a little tour through there yesterday. It was really crowded. I'm going to try to get a little video today. Shouldn't be as crowded, being as it's Monday. So over my shoulder, you can see a field of memorials, monuments out there. It's starting to rain a little bit, so I'm going to hope that when I come out of the museum, I can focus on some of those and show you some interesting stuff. Now over my shoulder, you see the museum way up yonder. They got the oversized parking right out here at the end, and of course I'm towing the classic green trailer, and with my truck and camper I can't fit into a normal set of parking spaces, so I parked way out here. So we're going to go in and I'm going to show y'all some stuff. It's really jam-packed in there, so some of the stuff we'll be able to I'll be able to show you well. Some of the stuff not so much, but we'll see what we can find later. All right, didn't know I still had the system up. I'm going to do a little walkthrough here, and this is the Korean War section, some of the aircraft used in Korean War. See if I can reiterate some of the stuff our tour guide just shared with us. This is F-80C. This was actually our first jet fighter to see service. It was soon replaced by the 84. But I'm just going to kind of zoom you out here and let you see a bunch of different stuff. Up here on our left is a 86, and next to it is a MiG-15. Of course, you can see the big boy back there in the back. Here's it's called a F-82G twin Mustang. Both cockpits could fly it. It full controls on both sides. Long-range aircraft. One guy could sleep while the other guy flew. Sort of like truck drivers today. I'm not going to get into too much detail in here because I don't want to get a lot of people in the videos, and there's lots of people in here. But we're going to walk around through here a little bit. F-94A Starfire, built by Lockheed Company. The F-84E. Over here is a B-26. Called the Dream Girl. Used in Korea for bombing. We'll walk around here. We're just walking around through the Korean aircraft section, aircraft used in Korea, and later on some of these same aircraft were used in Vietnam. T-6D, neat airplane. It was used mostly by forward air controllers. Didn't have any armament. A neat airplane up there. Rescue helicopter. Here we've got the B-45. Again, the jet aircraft. And I believe the gentleman said that was the first bomber capable of delivering a nuclear weapon. Jet bomber. The tornado. Yes, the first American production jet bomber, the first jet bomber capable of carrying an atomic bomb, and the first multi-jet reconnaissance aircraft to be able to refuel in midair. Neat airplane. He told the story on this fuselage over here beside us, but I don't really remember what it was. I may walk in it here in a minute. UH-19B helicopter. Let's walk up here and see what we see. We'll just walk through this guy. I can fit in here without twisting my back out of place. So this was the cockpit. And as we walk through the cockpit, had different places. And then they had a tunnel that they had to move. This section was not pressurized. Get to the back of the airplane, and you can see the bomb load in here. I know it's too close for you to see much. And then the back of the airplane was also pressurized. Lots of armament there. Well, that was kind of interesting. Oh, that was rough. That was rough. Your body don't twist and turn that well for tight places no more. Okay. This is a phenomenal museum. Here, right associated with Wright-Patterson. I thought these were probably original hangars from Wright-Pat, but they weren't. They built these just for the museum, make them look like hangars.
We came up to visit, and yeah, back in the 90s.
Over here, we have the big transport. 124. And we're going to walk through that thing and let's get an idea of the size of this thing. You can see some of the, it could carry, I think it's 2 divisions, built by Douglas Corporation. Used during the Korean War and Vietnam. Also did refugee evacuations in the Congo, mercy flights to Morocco, Chile, and other places in the world. I was looking to see what the capability was. This one, particular one was known as Old Shaky, I'm sorry. It could carry 200 fully equipped soldiers, 127 litter patients, or 127 other patients and their attendants. Most of them were transferred to the Air Force Reserve and Guard by 1970, and all were released from active service in mid-74. This particular aircraft was assigned to the 165th Tactical Airlift Group in Georgia, Air National Guard. Okay. Interesting. Let's see if we can walk through here. I'll let those folks come out first. It's hard to imagine something this big could fly. And the gentleman told us on the ends of the wings were wing heaters that they used for de-icing the wings, and then also that there were tunnels through the wing that they could do maintenance on the engine while in flight. That would not be a job I'd want to have. Oh, we'll just try to walk through here now as these people come out. I don't know how much you'll see in here. Nice.
There's that. There's food. There's food?
Now this is just the cargo bay.
Okay, those are the emergency exit doors.
And the crew compartment is up top.
Okay, be careful. That's cargo hooks. You know what cargo is?
You notice the seats for transport personnel. First time I was on a actual transport airplane was when I landed in Nam, and I was put on a 123 with JADO assist on it, and we all sat 10 wide on the floor with a cargo strap across us. And you were seated in the order that they were going to land, and it landed each air base or military installation, and they would take off the ones that were to be taken off at that location, and then they'd close. They'd actually dump you off before the airplane actually got completely stopped, and spin the airplane around and take back off. And using JADOs. So it'd come in high, go down, straight down, level off, hit the PSP runway, and lift straight out, basically. All right, we're going to now move over to the Southeast Asia section. And of course, to me, I refer to it as Vietnam, but we know that we were doing business all over Southeast Asia. First airplane that you're going to see here is the B-52. And I asked the gentleman how many we had left in inventory. He said we did have, I believe he said 70. And he was telling me that one crashed a couple of weeks ago in Edmonds. And I did not know about that. I haven't seen the news now since I left home a couple of weeks ago. So we'll walk on through here. Talk about some of the airplanes. This is the A1. This particular aircraft, you can see what happened to it at one point. I'm sure it's not an airworthy airplane anymore. They built it back up and brought it here. All aircraft, excuse me, all aircraft in this museum, by the way, does belong to the U.S. Air Force. And they have a fund that maintains it. I want to let you look at the underside of the wings of a B-52. That thing is phenomenal. Maybe the longest flying aircraft we've got. All right, this is my favorite, the F-100F. They had the D versions as well. Single seaters versus dual seat. This is what I spent the first, after school, the first 2.5 years of my Air Force time, maintaining the weapons control system on this airplane. You can see these little latches right here I may try to zoom up on that, just for kicks. Yeah, see those little latches right there? You pop those latches loose, raise the radar bay up, and that's where all the electronics are located in there. You should call it electronic bay. It carried 4. I think they were 50 calibers guns on it. This one don't seem to have any. And I had the fun opportunity one time of firing those guns during bull sighting. You'd take them out to the bull sight area, the crew chief would level the airplane out. The armament guys would bore sight the barrels of the guns and line them to the target. And I would be the one inside bore sighting the target. I mean the targeting device. And then when it was time to fire, they'd say, fire them. And then I would get to pull the trigger. That was pretty amazing. That was one of the most fun things I did in the Air Force. As far as working with the airplanes, that is. Great airplane. I loved it. Over here we've got the RF 101, the Voodoo. R stands for reconnaissance and fighter. It could do both. And if you notice, we're still coming under the wing of the B-52. Monstrous airplane. I don't know anything about this airplane, the U-10D Super Courier. See if we can get off out here where we can get some pictures of it. Interesting airplane.
The B-2 bomber and the stealth. In our missile battle, you will experience our silent signal. They aim high over 100 feet.
Hi. Come on around. This is the OV-10 over here on my left. And the OV-10 is what they flew as forward air controllers. They had other purposes, but they also flew them as forward air controllers. And I was telling the gentleman who did the tour, sorry, when I got over there and I was qualified on the 100 and they didn't have any 100s, I asked to be put on this airplane as a spotter for the pilot. They refused. I didn't get to go. This was an airplane that they would actually go out and drop smoke bombs for targeting purposes. And I can't remember. This is B-26, yeah, B-26K. This aircraft over here, the Huey, was a mainstay over there. This particular aircraft, while we wasn't supposed to acknowledge that we were there, was used primarily by covert operations in Laos. We come on around the outside. Black Mariah. This was a CIA helicopter, owned and operated by the CIA. If any Air Force pilots flew on it, they had to wear civilian clothes. And over here is a 123. This particular airplane was outfitted, and it was called Patches, by the way. It was outfitted to drop Agent Orange defoliant, which, thanks to that, a lot of us have issues today. They say that Phuket Air Base, where I was one of the most contaminated bases with that in Southeast Asia. But this one was called Patches because it was shot so many times that it had patches all over. See if I can find some of them. Yeah, looks like there's one right there. See the little round patch there? There's one right there on the door. And one right in there. Well, it's covered with patches. So they named it patches. Well, a lot of us have issues about Agent Orange. One thing I will say about it is it saved a lot of lives. It might cost some downstream, but over there it saved a lot of lives. Now this is the C-7A carboat. It was used for transport between small bases up and down through Vietnam. Had a real good friend, Charlie Wilson, who flew those. He and I was sitting talking one day, and as it turns out, we were both at Phuket at the same time, and he was flying those. So it's quite likely I might have ridden on his airplane. They weren't well thought of, but they were workhorses over there. No, they don't have the cargo bay open. Over in the distance, over the helicopter, and A1, you see an EC-121. And those were the aircraft that flew. They flew high, they flew out of danger area, and they had these massive radar systems on it and communications. EC designation. And now we come to the F-105. Could haul a payload of bombs. It was really titled as a fighter, more or less a fighter bomber. And they carried big payloads, and they flew primarily out of Udon, Thailand, in the country and back, running bombing runs. And you can kind of see the payloads underneath this thing. The Air Force Thunderbirds tried it. They did not get through one season because they lost way too many of them. It was not that maneuverable to do what they had to do. So they had gone from the F-100 to this, and then they had to revert back to the F-100. And I remember when they did that, I was stationed there in Nellis at the time, and our workstation was adjacent to the bird's hangar. And so up above is the F-5. I always thought that was a neat little airplane. We used to see the T-38 version of that come into the Nellis a lot. They'd use them for flying cross country. The senior officers would. Okay, here's a MiG-17 and a MiG-21. So we can see some of these were, we acquired them one way or another. This one they said came from Egypt, so we acquired them one way or another. So this is the 105 flying out of Udon, and called Operation Thunder, Rolling Thunder. Well, actually, initially, looks like, I know they flew out of Udon, but I don't know if they were ever actually in country or not. This one's called the Memphis Belle II. They've got some real nice panels here that are dedicated to certain people. This one dedicated to Brigadier General Robin Holes, who was a fighter ace and led a combat support group. Now over here is the F-4. This was the last airplane I worked on. Not this particular one, but this is one that Colonel Olds flew. But this, I finished up my time in the Air Force working radar on the F4. And it's interesting because I worked on the F4 in the Air Force. My brother worked on the F4 in the Navy. And they had total different functions, different type aircraft. The F4 was initially designed for the Navy, for shipboard operations. And over here we have a RB-66B, and I'm not sure what RB stands for. Let's go over here and see if we can figure it out. He didn't talk much about that. B-66 was developed from the U.S. Navy A-3B Sky Warrior. Oh, it's a photo reconnaissance. RB, photo reconnaissance bird. Yeah, I should have known that. Over here we have the F-111A. I remember when those first came to Nellis, we were not even allowed to look to our left as we drove down the flight line in their sections. They were top secret at the time. And I remember when I had a good friend there who got the opportunity to work on those. He went to school for them. Had the terrain following radars in them, and that's what he worked on. And I remember when we sent the first 6 across the pond. We were all standing out at the flight line that morning when there was a big celebration as they took 6 off down the runway in formation. Cool airplane. A7. This is talking about the B-52, which we're standing under right now. We looked at the pure size of this thing. It's phenomenal. Again, here's another 105, and this is dedicated to the wild weasels. Their job was to seek out and destroy SAM sites, surface air missiles. So I'm going to kind of let you. I'm going to hang here just a second, and hopefully you can read some of that. I had a good friend and boss at one time who was a wild weasel on the F4 when they had transitioned to F4s. Their motto was first in, last out. And I'm just going to walk through here. There's a whole panel in here dedicated to the wild weasels. That right there is a SAM. One gentleman that was on our tour with us called it a flying telephone bolt. Pretty good definition for it. Once they locked onto your bird, you were in trouble. Wild weasel started out with the F-100s, moved into the F-105s, and eventually wound up flying F-4s. And I say, well, I don't know if they still fly today as the wild weasels. Maybe flying F-16s or 22s or 35s, I don't know. During the Vietnam time, they finished up with F-4s. All right, that kind of ends the section for Korea and Vietnam, or Southeast Asia, I should say. And I'm going to scan around up high here. The gentleman was telling us that this area where we're in is used a lot for banquets and events. You can see the stage right there. And so they have up here what they call the Circle of Flight. Wright brothers aircraft. On the ground here is a F-22 Let me get past this crane. Up high is a Boeing, I forget what we call that. It actually flew. It was a test aircraft that never saw service. He called the name of it, but I don't really remember. But pretty cool looking airplane. And then right here is an F-22. And then over there we've got a couple of drones. He said can stay in our air for hours and hours. It's called a circle of flight. Pretty neat display. Down yonder you can see, I'm going to zoom down there. This is a very interesting medevac helicopter. Rescue helicopter. So that kind of ends it for this section. I'll probably go to World War II next and see what else we can find. Watching. All right, we are now in the what they call the Cold War section of the museum. We're going to cover some of the aircraft they've got in here, and of course the big boy in the room is this B-36 monster airplane. The specs on it, they gave us the specs yesterday, and I really don't remember. Initially it did not have the jet engines on it, and they added the jet engines. Well, let's see if we can look at the specs over here. This is the big dude. Okay, it had a range of 10,000 miles. It could fly at 45,700 feet. You get what the payload. He told us the payload on it. I don't really recall it. It's 45 feet in height. I guess that's the tail. It's fully loaded at 410,000 pounds. This particular airplane flew to the museum from Davis-Monthan Air Force Base in Arizona in 1959. It was replaced with a B-52. Okay, hope y'all got to read some of that. Hope I held the camera in the right direction. But you can see the size of this bad boy. The wings just cover everything else in here. So we'll just kind of walk on around. Some of the stuff I remember, some I don't. This was all during the Cold War era of the Air Force missions. It's known as a deterrent era. The BA-53, oh, that's the bomb. That's not the airplane. Duh. We'll walk around here. This was the ejection module for the pilots if they had to eject out of this thing. Yeah. I'm having trouble finding their plaque on this one. So we'll just walk around it. I wish I could get more distance and we could get an overall view of this stuff, but you know, you can see how tight they're packed in here. So. There's a Mark 53 thermonuclear bomb. It's a neat picture right there with B-52s lined up. Let me kind of come around here and get a better view of it. Oh, those are B-36s. I'm sorry. Those are B-36s. My bad. All right, we'll walk on around. Oh, there we are. B-58. I thought that was a B-58, but I didn't want to say so. That's the B-58 Hustler. First operational supersonic bomber. Its initial flight on November 11, 1956. Interesting up there. This is some kind of a missile. SM-62 Snark. This is the air refueling bird. I believe it's a KC-46. A couple more surface-to-air missiles. Not going to go into those too much. But let's look a little closer at this air refueling bird. It ended its life, I guess, as with the Ohio National Guard. This is an interesting plaque here that see where the boom operator sit operating the boom. There's the boom lowered from the bird, and here he is sitting here, boom pod operator. This is on a KC-10. So you can see the boom right there. The boom would swing down, got wings on it, and the bird being refueled would pull up behind it and put their snout into the end there. And we can see where the operator sat. Actually, he laid in there. He didn't just sit in there. He laid in there. And see if we can zoom in here and see if we can get past that light. Okay, there we go. So you can see where he laid in there and operated the boom. Must have been a heck of a job. As we come on around, see the back wings of this thing. It was replaced with a KC-10, and get what the current, which was based on a DC-10 platform, by the way. Well, let's see what else we can see over here. F-86 Haymaker. There's another, looks like an 84. F-84. This bad boy up here is a WB-50D Super Fortress. It's a bird capable of delivering nuclear weapons. And again, I apologize for the close-up shots. I just can't get back far enough from these things. We got tons of birds just hanging from the ceiling. Not gonna cover them too much. You see F-94C Starfire. You see the massive engines on that big B-36. F-86.
Notice on the B-36, the propellers are facing backwards. Well, the reason they did that, the engineers, when they designed the circle, that wing is
He's just talking about there the propellers on the back side of the wings, giving it push instead of pull. All right. We are going to now go into an area where you'll see a bunch of missiles. Well, no, let's see the rest of this area first. I forgot this. I'm only toured half of it so far. I think it's time to go up to the snack shop. May get some good shots from up there.
What in the world was you just saying?
P-47 RB of 84. Over here we have the, I think it's a 102. Yeah, the 102. And the big blackbird, they call it, the SR-71. I think that might have been the first stealth aircraft. I got to watch one of those take off at Nellis one time. Got to watch them land and take off. Pretty doggone amazing airplane. We have one at our Space and Rocket Museum in Huntsville, Alabama. Amazing airplane. Over here, we've got a tribute to Jacqueline Cochran. I believe she was the first woman to break sound barrier. This is a Lockheed F-104C. And the 104 was a missile with wings. One. Most of those were flown by air defense groups. This was the F-100 again, and this one actually served with the Thunderbirds. And you can see they brought it back in, took out of service and brought it back in here. And they sent it to actually the Thunderbirds, and they reconfigured it and painted it up as a Thunderbird. But it had actually seen service once upon a time as a Thunderbird. Let's see if it says when. Well, let's kind of look down. That's a crew chief used to have to sit up on top of that thing and dump walnut shells in it to clean the land blades. This is pitot tube. We had a pilot one time claim that he steered a guy on the ground with that pitot tube. Of course, when it's flying, it's turned out straight. Let's see if they say when it. Oh, it was used by the Thunderbirds from 1964 to 1968. So it would have been parked and used there at the hangar adjacent to our workshop. And over here we see the F-16, which is, I think that's what they're currently flying today. It's an F-16. Again, a Thunderbird aircraft. Certainly a sleek looking machine. I believe that's what they're flying with the demonstration team.
It's literally this B-2 bomber.
See if it says that. I'll let you look down here where I'm looking. I didn't know they'd ever gone to the T-38s. Apparently they did in '82. And in '92, they went to the F-16. It was used as pilot training in Luke Air Force Base in Arizona. In '96, the Thunderbird repainted it back to the Thunderbird colors for the museum. I never knew that they flew the T-38. They were flying 100s and later F-4s when I was in. Here's the AT-38. So this would then have been what, similar to what the birds would have flown.
Don't miss out. Attractions tickets
If they were flying
purchased
T-38.
today expire today.
Now, behind us, that big old boy right there. And I certainly can't get it all in one picture. But I'm going to get around here and try. That is the B-2. That is the aircraft that was flown from Oklahoma, I believe it was, to strike Iran's nuclear facilities. I'll get back here as far as I can. You can get an idea of the size of that thing. One phenomenal airplane. Love it. We'll go on down through some of these others and see what we see. In a minute, we'll move on into the presidential aircraft section. Got some neat aircraft in there that were used as Air Force One, and the president was on board. Now this guy is also pretty monstrous. This is the B-1. Unfortunately, the B-1 was, by the time they got it built, was obsolete. But I think it did see service. Stealth bomber. Let's see what it talks about. Notice the tires come up pretty close to my waist. The contract was canceled in 1977. Oh, the B-1B is the improved version of the B-1A, which was canceled in 77. hoping y'all can read that because it's just too much for me to read. All right.
Good, Jerk.
One of the things that they've done here at the museum that I really like is at each aircraft there's a plaque in Braille. So I think that's pretty cool for the deaf to be able to see what they're talking about. And we'll just continue to walk through here. Oh, here's a gunship. This is a 130 gunship. I got to work on the Stinger, the 119, a little bit. But you can see the guns coming outside. Get what they call the 130. Here's the guns coming out the side porch. More guns. Those are the miniguns. Spectre. That's called a Spectre. I don't think they were flying those when I was in. We were flying 119s. Well, I don't know. Let's see. I don't know when those flew. Maybe they were. We didn't have. Here's a MiG that they had said was actually an Iraqi MiG that was buried. Took the wings off and buried it to keep us from blowing them up. This is the F-117A stealth fighter. This is the first stealth fighter, and if you see all the angles on the wings and the cockpit and the whole fuselage, there are very few places that anybody could get a radar signal to bounce straight back from it. The signal would bounce off at an angle, and the radars could not detect them. A gentleman told a story that they proved that out on the ground and probably in Tonopah, and they had two of these fly over a radar site, and they demanded that they have one airman outside watching, and 15 minutes after they flew by, the radar guys asked, so when they gonna fly these things? And the guy on the outside had already seen it go over. Pretty amazing airplane. This is the F-15. I was never overly impressed with the F-15. I like the F-16 much better. But got a fire truck. This is a Soviet design airplane, flanker C trainer. They have a lot of Soviet aircraft in here. MiG-29. Not sure what this one was. Go back and look. All right. Yeah, thought those were 111. Another 111. They all start running together in your head after a while. That's a Soviet airplane. The RF-4C. This was a reconnaissance bird. MiG-23. And an RF, oh, yeah, RF-4. Actually, it's F-4G wild weasel. All right, it's one of the wild weasel birds. RF-4G.
It sucks that you can't go in there.
Now this bad boy over here that I've been walking all the way around is, I believe, a 141. And look and see. Oh, that's a C-133. I got a 141 in here somewhere. Big old airplane. You can somewhat see in the cargo bay there. All right, we'll move on. Down here on the other end is where the 141 is. All right, I'm going to pause you as we walk through this tunnel, and we'll pick back up over in the missiles. We've walked past the 101s and such as that. So, all right, now I know beyond the shadow of a doubt, I am not going to be able to do justice with video in this silo. These are different examples of missiles that we've had over the years. That's the Minuteman right there, solid rocket. These others were liquid. And they were all a part of the Cold War deterrent system. So that's about all I can say about that. I'm not going to go through each one of them individually. It is just, a lot of these were developed there in my hometown. Dr. Warner von Braun and his team. And later, same technology was later used then for launching satellites. All right. Wait a minute. All right, I'm now up on the observation deck for the missile display, and see if I can get several different views while I'm up here. I think maybe if I walk through here, I can. They have 4 buildings here, by the way, and a 5th is in the planning. Because they've got airplanes outside that they really need to have inside. So this section we're going to look over the top of. And we might go down and get a little more detail on them. These were, a lot of them were experimental aircraft. And the real neat thing there is the XB-70. Interesting airplane. Looks a lot like a, what was that airplane the French flew? So you can see a number of different experimental aircraft down here. The SR-71, which was the predecessor to the the YF-12A, I'm sorry, was predecessor to SR-71. down there. Just a number of experimental. Some of them flew, some of them did. Some of them crashed immediately. Some of them they never had any success with it all. Over on this side, pardon the white wall there, but over on this side you see an example of the space shuttle, and you go into the cargo payload bay. This was a mock-up that was used for training, and we might go through it a little bit later. Down on the end down there you see the different presidential aircraft. Got the 707 that I think ended with President Clinton, and then they moved to the 747. The silver one down there was, I believe, Roosevelt's, and it had an elevator in it to take you up top, to take him into the aircraft. The one with the blue on it down there, a little bit further. Let's see if we can kind of zoom down there a little bit. Yeah, now we're looking at President Roosevelt's. He didn't like flying. Beyond him is President Truman's aircraft. And then there's some more down in there we'll see a little bit closer up later on in the day. Right now I am going to go get a snack, and we'll see if we can get some video overlooking the other section from the upper deck. All right, we are now up on they call it the launch pad, the snack area, and I'm able to look over the section we just walked through recently called the Cold War, and so you can get to see a little bit better view of the aircraft from above and how they've got them stacked in here. So I'm going to come back to about normal viewing distance. You can see the SR-71 there, the B-2, the B-1 back there in the back, B-1B. Let's see, cargo aircraft. Look at the interesting, really see the size difference now between that little F-84. I believe it was an F-84. And B-47. And now you can get a better view of overall size of the B-36. That thing is massive. Wow. Very interesting. Some of the aircraft hanging from the ceiling as we swing around through there. We kind of zoom down on those. Very neat displays. Very neat displays. All right, going to see if we can now go over to the space and presidential area. And we're now in the space area, and we have a few little things over here. If I can do it without getting much folks in the picture. This is the Mercury capsule. Let me back off here. This would be the Mercury capsule, the first one. And I believe this would have been the one. No, this was not. I'm confused. So I'm going to let you look down in there. That was a one-man capsule, and that's what flew man around in space. This one actually never flew. This one was planned to fly, but it didn't, and so it was the last of the series. Next series would have been the Gemini series, and it actually Actually carried 2 men and was designed to stay up longer. They actually had a hatch on the back of it. They could exit it and do spacewalks and get back in. And of course, had to put on the spacesuits, take them off. Can't imagine that. I would be so claustrophobic in that. No way. And then this was the final space program. Well, not the final space program. We're still doing space programs. But this would have been the Apollo. This episode actually flew. I believe it was 15. Let me look over here. I believe this was Apollo 15 command module that orbited the moon while we had people on the moon. It's an example of a spacesuit. Of course, this is a Saturn V, example of a model, scale model of a Saturn V. Different, that would have been the lunar lander, I believe. Not sure. Up there would have been. This would have been what got it there. And now, a whole bunch of engineers spent a whole bunch of money to craft this thing in order to hold one pen, a Sharpie, that President Trump used to establish the Space Force. And these are the current chief officers of the Space Force. Space Force is a division of the Air Force, which, by the way, is going to be headquartered in Huntsville, Alabama. So this is one of President Trump's pens, and this is the one he used to sign a document to create the Space Force. It's amazing to me, all these pictures they got in here with people with their mask on. Looks like they could have stood for a picture without that thing. This is one of the KH-9 reconnaissance satellites. I forget how much film he said it would carry, and it had multiple re-entry pods that they could take pieces of film off and send them back instead of having to wait for all the film. He told how many feet of film was in here. 320,000 feet of film, about 60 miles. Had 4 return vehicles. That's pretty amazing. All of these are experimental aircraft, the X-15A and different ones. I'm not going to go through all of those. Some of them flew, some didn't. There's the X-24A and B. We'll just kind of walk down through there. We're walking under the XB-71. I think it was XB-70, I'm sorry. There's the little Bell XB-1. The Valkyrie. you can kind of get an idea the size of that thing. Interesting where the landing gear come out of that. It had center mounted wheels and then stabilized with landing gear on the wings. XV6A. Oh, many other ones. Some flew, some didn't. And I'm not going to go through all of those because they're all about the same. Had different purposes. I want to get down to the presidential fleet, and we'll come back through the mock-up for the shuttle. Here's one of the alien flying saucers. The aliens were Canadians. That thing actually flew about 3 feet, 30 feet, I mean. There's one of the early stealth aircraft, Tacit Blue. X-36. This is the Streak Eagle, F-15. Holds the record for climb. It was stripped down of everything. No paint, nothing. Let's see if it says. Yeah, it time to climb records. From brake release to 30,000 meters, 98,425 feet, and 207 seconds. So, pretty amazing. But it was of no use. I mean, it didn't have any armament, didn't have anything, had no radar system, just an airplane. But they got the record, and they still maintain it. This is a section called Global Reach, primarily talking about aircraft that are used for humanitarian purposes. They're military aircraft, but they're used for humanitarian purposes. Here's the big 130. Probably one of the most workhorse aircraft we ever had. Now, this is a helicopter that probably flew the presidents around looking at the paint scheme on it. Let's look. Oh, this was, this was experimental with vertical takeoff. not a helicopter. I looked at it and thought it was a helicopter, but it's vertical takeoff aircraft. It's a NASA plane. It was experimental. Example of parachuting equipment and areas of need. So as we get down here, we'll kind of, I think, go in order. So as I said earlier, from the up above, this was President Roosevelt's airplane. I think they said he only flew on it a few times. The Sacred Cow. First aircraft purposely built by the President of the United States. Carrying staff transport, the VC designation aircraft was officially named the Flying White House. However, the aircraft became better known by its official nickname, Sacred Cow, in reference to the high security surrounding the aircraft and its status. I'm gonna walk around here. If you look right down here, it had an elevator for President Roosevelt would put his wheelchair in and take him up into the aircraft. Chairlift. All right, let's walk inside. See what we see. So it'll be pretty narrow in there. May have to turn sideways. If I can get in here.
This is actually like shit in here. Oh yeah, this is where the luggage is.
Cockpit.
Yeah, this is tight. All illegal,
Crew quarters.
that's cool.
Really?
All like the all the time.
I hope it goes out back there.
Backing up.
Glad to hear that.
Oh, here's the office. And it's all-
Wow.
Yeah.
This was tight.
Yeah. That's really cool.
Somebody's desk.
No. I saw the door open. I thought we were going to have to. Okay. You gotta get a picture from over here. Well, yeah, they had.
Claustrophobic, you wouldn't handle this. No, of course it wouldn't have been this narrow.
Oh, okay.
I'm guessing this been added to plexiglass. I don't know. I guess that was the sidewall when you look at it right up there. So that would have been President Roosevelt's desk, I'm guessing. That would have been his office. We work our way on back. Yeah. And that would have probably been his quarters back there, and you can see here's where the chairlift came up. And they said it folded flat, and to be out of the way once he exited. Well, this has been his quarters back here and his staff. Say the gentleman did the early tour said that he only flew on it a few times. He did not like flying. All right, let's walk over to the Independence. That would have been number 2. That would have been Truman's airplane. Careful going down through here. So this was a, let's see, I believe he said it's a more powerful airplane. Don't remember what the difference in the two airplanes were, but we're gonna walk through it too. See if we can get claustrophobic again. This was BC 118, the Independence. You got a view looking down the aircraft from the outside. Hit my head. This would have been the navigation station.
We'll let y'all in here and see the office.
A little more room for people sitting and visiting.
This was President Truman's
Hard
chair.
drive.
Right here.
Interesting.
That's pretty cool. Cool story, Dad. What was it?
I'd like to have more seating area down here. This is probably a section for the, I would guess, the press folks. Little galley.
Oh yeah, you can't make it back there. Yeah.
Alright, come on back here. This is the president's quarters. Back here in the back.
That's probably where the office is.
I'm guessing this would have been his desk. Area, his seating area. Interesting map up on the wall.
We landed in Shannon, Ireland, and Gander, Newfoundland, and several other places.
Got a seating back here in the back of the toilet. It's kind of interesting. Okay, these are kind of hard to get through, so hope you was able to get something out of that video. Yeah, we'll move from President Truman's to the one that was used for, let's see, Eisenhower. Yeah, we'll go to Eisenhower's airplane. Now this is the Connie. This was, I saw one of these in Tucson at the museum out there. And so this was President Eisenhower's aircraft. We're going to try to go in. Oh, no, it's blocked off. It's being worked on. Okay. We'll pass on that then. This was called the Combine 2, PC-121. Now, over here, they said that they'd be back open in about 15 minutes, so we made it through. I'm going to try to get a shot down the front of the 707. I guess this is the entrance up here. And See if we can see what all presidents flew on it. I think Kennedy was the first. Pause you. All right, so this aircraft carried President Kennedy, Johnson, lost the order, Nixon, Ford, Carter, Reagan, George H.W. Bush, and Bill Clinton. So this was also the aircraft on which President Johnson took the oath of office after President Kennedy was shot. They served probably more presidents than any aircraft in the SAM fleet.
Have a safe flight.
See if we can get up there here. Again, we got it narrowed down inside. SAM 26,000. Its tail designation when the president's on board is Air Force One. Interesting concept. Note about this aircraft. It flew President Nixon, and as he left D.C. after resigning, the designation was changed from Air Force One to BC or SAM 26,000 because he was on board when the time when he resignation became official. Interesting note. Cockpit's a little more up to date on this one. Pretty big navigator section. My communication section, I guess it was. The galley. This would have been either staff or press. I'm sorry, you can't see the seats or anything. It's hard for me to focus in here. Don't touch the aircraft, but you're brushing the side as you go. I guess these are bench seats for the peons. What did it say here? Padded seats are covers for storage boxes that contain linens and other objects needed during trips. This is Kennedy's conference room and stateroom were just ahead of presidential galley. And the two rooms are rows of seats. President Nixon years included moving the presidential headquarters, president's quarters to this area, just forward of the wing. Well, they can reconfigure it based on each president's desires. I guess that would be his conference area.
See the TV? I'll watch it all the time. And you could call someone.
The gentleman was telling us that as when they retire the current one,
because the president had just been killed.
this is presidential staff area. After the death of President Kennedy, Vice President Johnson was sworn in as president in this area. Pretty amazing.
That's Johnson. He's being sworn in. He became the new president.
And I'm guessing this is peons back here.
I'm for the president chair.
Moving on through, let these people come through. Nothing like what they're flying on today. Okay. Yeah. Yep. A couple other little airplanes here we're going to look at. President Johnson was the first and maybe the only one, I don't know, to have a landing strip at his ranch. So the big plane couldn't land there. I think he'd fly into Dallas or Houston or somewhere, and then he would board a smaller aircraft and fly to his ranch. I think this was one he used. This was the Ladybird. No, that's the Ladybird Special right there. It's a prop job. And then right here was a T-39 Saberliner assigned to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, Texas. Support former President Lyndon B. Johnson. Excuse me, as he traveled to and from his ranch nearby Stonewall. But he had a hangar there, and he had a landing strip, and so following President Johnson's death in '73, this aircraft flew as a test bed for advanced avionics and communication equipment as part of the Speckled Trout Research and Development Program, nicknamed Speckle Minnow due to the small size. The T-39 continued to serve as executive transport for many government and Air Force officials. Retired in '84 and moved to the museum. And there's a picture of it at the Johnson Ranch. Over here, we have a Aero Commander U-4B. President Eisenhower used this aircraft to fly to his farm in Gettysburg. Short trips from D.C. or I'm guessing Dover to D.C. To Gettysburg. And he'd been a pilot himself. He said he often took controls and sat up front with the pilot. So that was used to transport President Johnson from D.C. to his farm in Gettysburg. So I guess when you think about it, Johnson wouldn't have been the first to have aircraft landing area at his personal residence. We got one more over here. And this is a little bit bigger aircraft than the last two we just looked at. So apparently VC-140B jet serves to transport the President from the United States, and high-ranking government officials and other heads of state. Apparently Lyndon Johnson flew this one as well at his ranch, because there you can see it landed there at his ranch. Well, apparently he used that aircraft as well. Okay, we're not going to hang around and wait on to finish cleaning the Constellation up. They're too hard to go through and get much anyway, so that's going to be it for the presidential and I guess I'd call it space area. Now I'm going to go back out front and see probably Next video will be probably coming from the World War II area. So later. Oh, I did forget to mention the 141. I'd mentioned it earlier. I'm thinking a different one was 141. So this is the 141. This was the big transport aircraft that I think the C-5 replaced. Maybe the C-5 or the C-17. Not sure which. But you won't walk up in there, but you can see it's pretty massive. Oh, hey. What the heck? Let's walk in there. Well, you can see they had lots of room in this aircraft. This is one that I had a good friend that was loadmaster on this. This was known as the Hanoi taxi, this particular one. This is the aircraft that they used to bring home the prisoners of war from Vietnam. And this was called the Hanoi taxi. Pretty significant machine when you think about it. Real crowded up front, so we'll just move on to the back. Okay, so now we'll wait till we get up front for some more. Hey, one more thing we didn't cover, and that is the space shuttle. Well, we're going to try to go up and give you an idea of what the payload bay is like in there. This is a mock-up. Like I said, was used for crew training, and only the front end and the payload bay was used for that purpose. But the museum here mocked up the aft section to make the whole thing look normal. Got another view of the 141 from the front. Okay, this would have been the payload bay. Probably the biggest single item they had in here was the Hubble telescope. You can see where the cover would open and they would eject the telescope. You know, when you see this thing lift off and all the surroundings around, you don't realize how big this payload bay was. But this gives you an idea of the length of it.
Stay there and wait for your mom.
Yeah, sure. No, not over there. There's nothing over there.
I'm going to try to read that on the color.
This is the mid deck. This is where they did trainings and how to eat and all the other things. We can't go in there. Yeah. Go up?
Yeah.
Now we're up to the crew compartment. That's where they would have been trained on their controls. Well, this gives us another view from up here to the aft end. Shuttle's big. All right. Just a quick scan around the area while I'm up high. Okay, we are now in the World War II area of the aircraft, and I didn't get a tour of this, so we're going to have to wing it here. I'm also going to let y'all look at the aircraft as we go in. Actually, I'm starting from the back of the museum, working my way forward. B-26, which you saw B-26 in the other museums. There's a biplane of some sort up there. And over here we have probably a DC-3, let's say. No. Just can't get back far enough. They've got these really, really packed in here. C-47, which was essentially a DC-3 in civilian life. Over here we got the P-51 Mustang up that airplane. Here's an engine out of here. It's a Hoss. P-38. I think it was called the Lightning. Up there you see the Memphis Belle. Look at what it was. A 36A Mustang. If we can back up a little bit. Sorry, again about the closeness. There's not enough room. Spitfire. B-17. I think we were at Dyersburg, and I think that's where the B-17 pilots trained, out of Dyersburg, Tennessee. I think. One group of bomber pilots, I'm not sure which one. See what this bad boy is over here. L4A Grasshopper. Interesting. Mighty Mare. I love the artwork on these old aircraft. B-24. TG-4A. Know what that is? B-39. Apparently shot down 3 Japanese aircraft.
B-25 was selected because it was small, because it had sufficient range to carry 2,000 pound bombs, 2,000 miles, and because it took off and handled very well. First, I found out what B-25 unit had the most experience, and then went to that crew, to that organization, and called for volunteers. And the entire group, including the group commander, volunteered.
The training was hard. No one had ever taken off a fully loaded B-25 in less than 500 feet. First, they had to prove it could be done. Then they had to train the people to do it. Before they were through, one of the Mitchells would lift off at only 287 feet. The crews proved they were good, and so were their airplanes.
This was what you were just watching part of was the Doolittle raids, where they trained crews to take off a fully loaded B-25 off of deck of a carrier and fly in country. Amazing feat. And Admiral General Hap Arnold selected Lieutenant Colonel James Doolittle to lead the raid, known as the Doolittle Raid. Pretty amazing adventure. You might want to look that up. I won't go into any details here, but pretty amazing feat. Flew into Tokyo and struck targets. I don't think any of them returned to the ship. Most of them, but they were all, I think, picked up. Here's a P-40. B-18. I didn't know there was a B-18. I'll walk over to the other side now. I know I'm kind of getting hurried here because I think the museum's going to close here in a little bit, so I want to get as much of this in as I can. So I'm going to go back over here and get a little more information on Doolittle Raid. So I'm just going to let y'all read that because I don't do well reading all this stuff. Oh, Congressional Gold Medal to the Doolittle Raiders. Pretty amazing. Big turn in the war. Hope you were able to read some of that. Well, let's see what we got over here. Aircraft that ended World War I. I mean, two, I'm sorry. Looked like one. A boxcar. Interesting looking airplane. What is that? Oh, A-10. Later on we had the OB-10. Pretty cool airplane. Never saw one of those. Seaplane apparently. Okay, boxcar was the B-29 that dropped the atomic bomb on Hiroshima. Nagasaki. They'd already dropped the bomb. The Enola Gay had dropped the bomb on Hiroshima first, and this one dropped Fat Man. C-46. This was Army Air Corps days before we formally created the U.S. Air Force. R-4B Hooverfly. Interesting. P-47.
Museum visitors, don't miss out. Attractions tickets purchased today expire today at 5 o'clock p.m. and lines for the simulators and VR may start filling up soon. Don't forget, you can also use your tickets on any of the films playing at our giant screen theater or on a set of customized dog tags, both located just outside the museum.
This is going to be about it for the World War II section. I know it's kind of sketchy, but time is running shy, and I'd like to get on out the front. All right, we're leaving the museum now. Thought I'd get a shot of it as we go by. We're going to go out to the memorial areas and catch some of the monuments. One particular one I'd like to show and get in the video is my unit while I was in Vietnam. And I'm just going to show you what they're like here. They have a number of, I'm going to zoom in on these monuments that are dedicated to certain people. I suspect different folks put them out here. Different groups, and I think that's pretty neat. There's North American Aviation over there. Over here is oops, let me zoom out here a little bit. I'm sorry. Dedication to 815th Tactical Attack Squadron. I'm guessing that is. Excuse me. This one is dedicated to all those who made the sacrifice ultimate sacrifice. So, just to kind of show you a little bit about what they do here. It's not just a museum of airplanes. It is a museum about people as well. Troop carrier wing. Pilot training class.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The Air Force galleries are now closed. Please make your way to the exit in the main lobby. The Air Force galleries are now closed.
That's the 5th Air Force 26 Photo Reconnaissance Squadron.
The National Museum of the United States Air Force and grounds are now closed. We hope you enjoyed your tour and that you will visit us again soon. Thank you for being with us today, and have a good evening.
Okay, got to get on back to the truck and get out of here before they lock the gates. I'd hate to. Well, I don't know. I'd just spend the night here, I guess. I don't know. But I'm going to catch a couple of these. Probably shouldn't have went into the movie. I should have just came out here. This is apparently a little dollar, and all the people to whom it was awarded. I don't really remember what that medal is. I know my name not on there. Oh, it's Medal of Honor. These are all the Medal of Honor winners. Medal of Valor, yeah. My mistake. You know, you really cannot come here to this spot without rendering a salute to those men and women who put their lives on the line that caused them to earn that medal. I will head on down towards the truck, which is way out at the end of the parking lot. This is the park, Monument Park, I think they call it. There's 5th Air Force. I was in the 7th Air Force in my group in Vietnam, and came under the Pacific Air Forces. I don't know. I'd have to look up my squadron designation and Las Vegas or Nellis Air Force Base. That was under the Air Training Command, and this is a pretty neat park. I walked through and looked at most all the monuments when I came in yesterday. Pretty special place out here. And I'm not going to take the time to walk on out there to video all of them. I'm just going to show you to you afar. Monument to P-47. Pretty neat. 109th Tactical Fighter Group. That's neat. First Air Wing. Tactical Fighter Wing. I'll get it right in a minute. You know. Forgive me if I mess up. There's a monument to the 2nd Bomb Group. That would have probably been in World War II, yeah. Field out here with memorials to different individuals and different groups. I'll make a quick trip out through there. Maybe they won't put a lot of men here. Tribute. Training classes. A lot of different pilot training classes. They put up benches. Troop Carrier Airlift Command. Oh, Shadow and Stinger. I did get to work on that. Put that down there on that. Worked a little bit with those guys. I don't know if any of this is going to come out. Okay. Here's the 12th Tactical Fighter Wing. I don't know if that's going to come out or not. Hope it will. Let's see if I can, yeah. 12th Tactical Fighter Wing. Served in MacDill, Cameron Bay, Vietnam, and Phuket, Vietnam. I was there from 69 and 70. I was a part of the 12th Avionics Squadron. Avionics Electrical Maintenance Squadron, I think they called it. So, they came into Phuket in 70. I got there in 69. At the time I got there, we were the 37th, not the 12th. And one final memorial I want to show before I leave here is the Gold Star Memorial. Tribute to those families who lost their loved ones in service of our country. Right, that concludes my tour of the Air Force Museum. Tomorrow I head on up toward Waseon, Ohio, and so I'm going to leave out of here now. I got to go find a laundromat. About time to wash some clothes and make sure I got clean clothes for next week, the rest of this week. try to get home. Should be going in home about last couple of days of June or maybe first day of July. So hope y'all enjoyed this little trip around the Air Force Museum, a place I've been wanting to go for many, many years, and we just never had the opportunity to stop here. So I hope y'all enjoyed it. I know there's some hard video in there to look at because of the I couldn't get the distance, and you'll have to see planes in pieces. But hope you enjoyed it. If you did, how about hitting that like button? If you didn't, well, hit the didn't like button and let me know about it. Welcome any comments. Please share your ideas on what you would like to see in the future on the channel as I continue on to record videos as I travel. Most of them obviously in tractor shows, but I love to catch museums and countryside. So, bye y'all.